We begin with Australian paleontologist Helena Walker grieving the death of her wife and drowning her sorrows in drugs and alcohol when she suddenly woke up in the middle of the ocean. She quickly swam to shore when a megalodon shark was chasing her. She later finds a wild dodo being hunted by an army ranger named Bob, who she later discovers to be a soldier from the battle in Normandy. She follows him deeper into the island to discover they are in a strange world filled with the then extinct dinosaurs. Bob taught her how to survive in this new world when they ran into an injured parasaur. Helena refuses to leave it behind and convinces Bob to help her pull the arrow lodged in it, much to the dinosaur's relief. She later named it Scary when it quickly flees after being scared of its saviors. While they are arguing, Bob gets shot with an arrow, scaring Helena into running for her life. As she escaped her pursuer, she found a village attacked by armed assailants on tamed raptors. A boy calls out to her when a rabid velociraptor turns to them. Knowing the dinosaur's weakened eyesight, Helena uses a shield to reflect light to blind it. The enemy's leader, Edmund Rockwell, was so impressed with her knowledge of dinosaurs that he decided to take her back to camp. When she regains consciousness, Helena finds herself before Rockwell, who explains that he is a 19th century scientist. When Helena asks him where they are, Rockwell explains that he too is unsure. He claims that others speculate it to be the afterlife or purgatory, but he calls the island the Ark instead. He shows her around and explains it to be the camp of General Gaius Marcellus Nerva. Trying to appeal to her interests and win her over, Rockwell frees her from her cuffs and gives her a tour of the camp. Seeing them cage dinosaurs and whip them to submission has her disgusted, which she describes as mere brutality. When Rockwell demands that she help him understand the dinosaurs, Helena headbutts him and escapes. She tries to escape but is trapped inside the camp, and she is quickly recaptured when General Nerva stops her on a tamed T-Rex. Cautious of her, he imprisons Helena with the other prisoners. Helena briefly befriends Jamie, the boy who tried to save her in the village. Their reunion is cut short when Rockwell feeds Jamie to a T-Rex to break her spirit. She then blames herself for Jamie's death when one of the prisoners tries to comfort her with berries. Helena is later taken before Nerva, curious about her surprising knowledge of creatures. She explained that she came from the 21st century and was the foremost expert on dinosaurs. Despite Rockwell's domestication of such animals, which he calls conditioning, Helena claims these are wrong and offers a better method. Nerva reveals a legend they came across, which said that collecting 3 artifacts in this world will grant them power greater than anything anyone has ever known. He claims he will then use it to return to his home while revealing that he is in possession of one. Nerva realized Helena had spiked his drink, but it was too late. She explains how she laced the rim of his cup with a snail's excretions, which briefly paralyzed him. She then pries the artifact from his hands and escapes. Helena was sneaking around camp when Rockwell and a few guards caught her, but not before grabbing a bag of chopped meat. The raptors break free and quickly turn the camp into chaos as guards panic with the dinosaurs rampaging. Helena then frees the other prisoners with Scary's help. Nerva regains control of his body and chases after Helena. Scary returns for Helena and helps her escape camp, but not before Nerva hits her with a spear on the shoulder. Helena escapes to a clearing where she briefly loses consciousness. She later screams in agony as she pulls the spear out of her body, determined to survive this whole ordeal. With an injury, Helena struggled to escape from Nerva's men, who continued to pursue her. They eventually have her cornered when, suddenly, a mysterious warrior rescues her. She quickly loses consciousness and dreams of when she was young, and accompanied her mother on protests. When she comes around, she finds herself at a campfire with her wounds treated and freshly bandaged. She then goes to a nearby river to catch fish when a group of Troodons attack them. She escapes on Scary, but falls off the cliff. Helena then drops into a cave, which she later discovers to be the den of a wild saber-tooth. As she resolves to fight back, a mysterious woman attacks the saber-tooth with her spear. She skillfully dodges its attacks and slits its stomach, killing it. The mysterious warrior introduces herself as Mei Yin Li, of Chinese descent. Mei Yin claims she is searching for something of great value in the cave and invites her to join her. Helena wonders why she went out of her way to save her and gain Nerva's wrath. Mei Yin explains how she plans on killing Nerva with her own hands. When she curiously tries to touch some glowing mushrooms, Mei Yin stops her when a giant centipede comes out to feed on them. She explains that these so-called fireworms secrete venom that burns like acid. Worried they have a long road ahead, they camp for the night. The next day, Mei Yin explains how they once intended to kill Nerva, worried that evil would grow if left unchecked. With that said, the warring tribes decided to form an alliance. Kor and his Skyriders from the north, John and his scouts from the west, and she and her warriors from the south. As they rode towards Nerva's base, they were suddenly betrayed, leading to their downfall. She later reveals how the red artifact is with Kor, the so-called prophet, while she carries the blue artifact. After climbing down a ravine, they come to what appears to be a gate when it suddenly glows as they approach it. Mei Yin tries using the green artifact to open it, but nothing happens. Helena notices a pattern that she skillfully deciphered opening the gate. When they entered, the door closed behind them. They later discover it is a trap, which turns out to be the den of a giant spider, the broodmother Lycerix. Mei Yin tried fending it off, but its skin was too thick for her attacks, and she got trapped in its web. Helena lures the giant spider and goes around to free Mei Yin. Helena then throws the glowing mushrooms at it, which small spiders are drawn to eat them. The small critters weakened the giant spider until Mei Yin delivered the finishing blow. Having defeated the Guardian, a giant obelisk appears before them and a chest emerges. They open it to find a powerful rifle inside, which blows a hole in the wall for them to escape to the surface. Mei Yin claims that with a powerful weapon, she could reform the Alliance to take out Nerva once and for all. As soon as they get back up, they discover a giant obelisk hovering in the air. Suddenly, they find themselves surrounded by warriors who reveal to be John and his scouts. Although initially turning Mei Yin away, John's daughter, Ilacy, convinces him to allow her to return to the village with them. Mei Yin tries to persuade John to reform the Alliance, assuring him of victory with their new weapon. Helena discovers that Mei Yin used to be called the Beast Queen, and Mei Yin embarrassingly asks her not to ask about it. Helena was later surprised to find their camp was a giant kingdom in the middle of the forest. What's more surprising was that their people could domesticate T-Rexes, whom they treat as pets and companions. While Mei Yin meets with the elders with John and Henry, Helena winds up at the infirmary, where she finds people sick with the swamp fever. Ilacy explains how they are unsure how they got ill, but it usually starts with a cough and occasional fainting. Having run out of medicine, Helena asks John where they could get more. John explained that the main ingredient for the medicine was a blue flower, which used to grow on nearby mountain slopes. Due to the appearance of a creature they call the Great Bird, it has since then devoured them all, making its nest on it. Helena suspects that these so-called great birds might have passed the medicinal properties of the blue flower onto its eggs, and claims they could use it to cure swamp fever. John was suddenly reminded of the past when his thirst for vengeance led him astray. Despite his wife's advice, John decided to fight with fellow tribes against the invaders, leaving their village defenseless. He later regretted his decision when he returned to the village burning and his wife and son dead. Since then, he has always opted to choose his family's safety, so he has been reluctant to agree to Mei Yin's plan. Before they leave, Ilacy helps Helena train with a bow. Determined to learn to protect herself, John then left with Ilacy, Mei Yin, and Helena to retrieve the blue egg, leaving Henry in charge of the village. They carefully scaled the cliff with an ice-climbing axe, slowly reaching the top. Helena loses her footing and barely lands on a steep cliff, scaring off the flying creatures that make their home on the side of the cliff. Thanks to everyone's help, they were able to fend them off and secure a clear path to the top. They later camped for the night, where John gives Helena advice after seeing her practicing with the bow. Suddenly, Alacy briefly faints, which Helena suspects is also ill with the sickness, much to John's dismay. Despite Alacy's insistence, John leaves her and Helena behind, worried about her safety, while he and Mei-yin continue the mission. Although they managed to secure a blue egg, the big bird was alerted to their presence and attacked them. As they try to flee, Alacy and Helena show up and provide cover, who decide to follow them. John then tames one of the big birds and quickly returns to the ground when Alacy faints, her condition worsening. Helena feeds the egg yolk to Alacy, which makes a miraculous recovery. As they celebrate securing enough medicine for everyone, Alacy begs her father if she can keep the baby bird, to which John agrees. Suddenly, a woman comes out of the forest gravely injured, and Helena recognizes her as one of the prisoners she helped escape from Nerva's camp. A soldier was chasing her, which Mei-yin and John swiftly killed. Mei-yin recognizes the handcuffs and claims she came from a nearby mining camp, vowing to liberate them. Having found the nearest mining camp, John worries that they do not have the manpower or resources to attack it, and suggests returning to their camp for reinforcements. Mei-yin suggests infiltrating the camp to open the drawbridge, to which Alacy quickly volunteers. Despite gaining his respect, John refuses, worried about her safety. Helena convinces him to trust Alacy and support his daughter, who is trying to become the best version of themselves. For their plan to work, they'd need a herd of giant dinosaurs to destroy the camp's outer gates after securing the drawbridge. Alacy guides Mei-yin and Helena to a nearby pack of wild stegosauruses. Helena comes up with an idea to tame them by gaining the trust of the young stegosaurus. Alacy sneaks past the herd when an adult stegosaurus discovers her. Helena uses fruit to get close to the young stegosaurus, thereby gaining the pack's trust and taming them. Following an idea she saw in a movie, Alacy poses as a soldier who captures Helena as one of the escapees. When they are brought inside, Domina, the camp's warden, exposes their disguises and captures them, much to Mei-yin's dismay. While Domina questions Helena, Alacy is thrown into the arena and pitted against two hungry Dilophosaurus. Helena begs Domina to let her fight in Alacy's stead, but she refuses and insists that she watch them. Although slightly injured, Alacy managed to trick the Dilophosaurus into attacking each other, resulting in her victory. Chained to a wall, Alacy starts to worry, but Helena comforts her and assures her that they will survive. She then pulls out a fireworm inside a small aperture in the wall, using its venom to break through their chains. She then asks Alacy to free the others while she heads for the drawbridge. She then goes outside unnoticed and barely reaches the drawbridge when Domina catches her. Helena and Domina fight, and Domina beats her up. When she is about to finish her off, Alacy runs outside screaming for freedom when the other prisoners break out riding on a herd of adult ankylosaurs. Helena knocks down the distracted Domina and opens the drawbridge, where Mei-yin leads a herd of stegosauruses inside the camp. Domina refuses to give up and rides her Yutyrannus, whose roar scares off the other dinosaurs into running. She then charges at Mei-yin and knocks her down. When she is about to be eaten, Mei-yin's partner T-Rex shows up and knocks them both down. John shows up and arrives with reinforcements from their camp. As they mow down the enemy soldiers, Domina and Yutyrannus go face to face against the Beast Queen herself, but she doesn't stand a chance and falls off the cliff. A soldier sneaks up on Helena, but she notices and has him at arrow point. He pleads with his life, to which Helena sees a resemblance of Jamie in him that she lowers her bow. When her guard was down, the soldier then escaped. She tries to shoot him down, but she is suddenly reminded of the people who died that she lets him escape, much to Mei-yin's disapproval. Nerva is furious at Rockwell for letting Helena escape and evade capture with his artifact in her possession. He explains how he is preoccupied with the sudden reappearance of the Beast Queen raiding one of his camps. Nerva claims he punishes people who continue to fail him. When he is about to feed Rockwell to a dinosaur, a guard interrupts them, and he tells Nerva that Elena was there when the camp was attacked. which overjoyed Nerva with the news. At John's camp, Helena assists Chava with treating the wounded, while Mei Yin strictly teaches the others how to fight. Helena worries that Mei Yin is driving her people to a lost cause who'd blindly follow her to their deaths. She suggests letting them rest and recover their strength before forcing them to train with injured bodies. Alazi proposes getting Kor to agree to their alliance at the council meeting when Mei Yin insists on taking out Nerva with their new weapon. Henry speaks up about his concerns with Mei Yin's obsession with defeating Nerva, which he believes clouds her judgment. He proposes that should they pursue an alliance, he is against having Mei Yin lead them into battle, as her previous leadership led them straight into a slaughter. He explains that although her skills as a fighter are unparalleled, her leadership is far from ideal. John intervenes and suggests they debate the decision, to which the elders claim they should prepare their arguments in the next couple of days. While they reconcile over food, Mei Yin winces in pain, so Helena treats her wounds. Helena then asks Mei Yin to train her in combat, but she struggles to keep up. Helena wonders how it feels to kill, and Mei Yin explains that one must have the resolve in another person's past, present, and future. Mei Yin is suddenly reminded of her childhood when she and her brother were scrupulously trained by their grandfather. When her brother fell, young Mei Yin helped him up despite her grandfather's orders not to. Although they failed to defeat him in training, their grandfather was pleased they were helping each other against adversities. One night, their grandfather gave them their family inheritance, a pair of jade daggers which used to belong to their father and uncle. Suddenly, a group of armed assailants sent by the Emperor attacked them at night. Their grandfather quickly hid them behind a storage cabinet. As they witness assassins kill their grandfather before their eyes, young Mei Yin comes out of hiding and furiously massacres them all. Later that night, Nerva's army attacked their camp with flaming catapults and searing arrows. Mei Yin hands the weapon to John, which he uses to take down the enemy brachiosauruses, surprising Rockwell and Nerva. Henry then leads the others who couldn't fight to safety, while Mei Yin and Helena go to the front lines. Worried that the situation is getting worse, John asks Alacy to retreat with Henry and lead the others through the swamp to the Crystal Cave beyond the waterfall, while he stays behind to keep the enemy at bay. After helping Chava escape with Alacy, Helena then goes to help Mei Yin. When the rifle runs out of ammo, John drops it, trying to escape from a flaming projectile. Seeing Mei Yin and Helena, Nerva insists on finishing them both while he orders Rockwell to look for the artifact. Nerva kicks Helena off the balcony and turns his attention to Mei Yin. Mei Yin uses the smoke as a cover and skillfully attacks Nerva from all directions. She managed to force him to get on one knee, but when she was about to finish her off, Rockwell shot her with a tranquilizer, much to Nerva's frustration. Rockwell explains how they will need her alive rather than dead. As they were carrying an unconscious Mei Yin, Helena aimed with her bow, ready to fire, when John stopped her. He promises that they will get her back, but not this time. Following Mei Yin's capture, Nerva visits her and demands she reveal where Helena is hiding, which she refuses. Rockwell visits her after Nerva tries to convince her to join them, but she still refuses. It was later revealed that Rockwell was the one who betrayed the Alliance and the reason why the previous alliance failed. He explains how he wanted the secrets of Ark for himself, no matter the cost. Still defiant, Rockwell orders the guards to beat up the defenseless Mei Yin through the night. Captive, Mei Yin is reminded of her past life when she and her brother continue the rebellion their grandfather started to overthrow the corrupt emperor. Their victories have their enemies retreating to the capital. Han, Mei Yin's brother, tries to convince her to push for a diplomatic resolution. Although they continue to be victorious on the battlefield, their soldiers grow weary from the constant battles. Mei Yin refuses to stand down and asks Han to keep up for one last battle. While Mei Yin's group pushes against the enemy, Han's group is defeated, and a messenger informs them that her brother has been captured. Abandoning her brother, Mei Yin then leads her warriors towards the palace to finish this once and for all. When they finally break through, they discover the enemy general has laid a trap for them. In the middle of the room, she finds her brother's jade dagger in a chest, suggesting that the enemy killed Han. Despite enemy archers on every side aiming at her, Mei-yin furiously charges at the enemy leader and drives her dagger through him at the cost of her own life. At the Crystal Cave, Helena and the others discuss their plans to rescue Mei-yin. Henry worries that they cannot overcome Nerva's stone walls, which are too high for them to climb. He then reveals that he has been working on an explosive, but worries that it wouldn't be strong enough to blow the walls from the outside. He claims they would need to set it off inside when they suddenly discover a tamed Megalania walking on walls, eating a savoroot that Alasi was using for cooking. Once Alazi went to bed, John called Helena to say that it was time, and she later understood that leaving her behind was his way of protecting his daughter. Before he leaves, John leaves a letter for Alasi to tell her the words he can't say to her in person. John then leaves instructions for Henry, while Helena leaves Scary behind. They then climb the steep wall and sneak inside the enemy base. Before they separate, John gives Helena a flare gun for when she escapes, so that he will know they are safe. Helena and John stealthily move in the shadows to plant spark bombs near flammable areas like the oil stores. Later, Helena, horrified to find a beaten-up Mei-yin bound to a cross in the middle of the camp when a soldier suddenly discovers her. It was the same soldier who she let escape from the mining camp. She tries to shoot him, but she briefly hesitates and inadvertently kills him. She quickly frees Mei-yin when Nerva and her men come out of the shadows and surround her. John comes out of hiding and shoots at the oil stores, blowing up the walls to let Henry and his men inside. Henry escorts Mei-yin and Helena to safety while the allied T-Rexes fend off Nerva's T-Rex. Worried that Helena and the others are escaping, Nerva reveals his trump card and releases a giant T-Rex, easily killing the allied T-Rexes. When soldiers block their escape, Scary shows up and knocks them all down, swinging a block of rock tied to a rope around its neck. John then challenges Nerva to buy the others time to escape. Despite his best efforts, John is stabbed with a sword and falls to the ground. As Nerva celebrates his victory, John takes a bow and aims at the oil stores behind the enemy T-Rex, which blows it up from behind. As John looks to the sky in his last moments, he sees the flare in the air and is comforted, knowing that Helena and the others safely escaped. When he later wakes up, he is greeted by his late wife and son, suggesting that he has finally found his peace. Helena looks back to see Nerva's base in flames, to which Mei-yin regains consciousness, and they passionately kiss. Meanwhile, a messenger returns to Kor and informs him of the sad news of John's passing, much to his grief. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos, and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.